Hello and welcome to this edition of Magical Learning's video book review. My name is Danette Fenton Menzies and I'm the Director of Learning here at Magical Learning. Today we're going to be reviewing Adam Grant's new book, Think Again. It is a cracker of a book and it really is about how do we update our thinking, particularly as this world changes so rapidly. And it reminds me of a great quote by Alvin Toffler. And that quote is, "The illiterate of the 21st century won't be those who can't read or write. It will be those who can't learn, unlearn and relearn." And really that's what this book is about. It is made up of three parts. The first part is about us and our individual thinking. And it's really about how do we refresh our thinking. So one of the fun things that I read in it was, did you know that as we go from a novice to an amateur, we actually think we are better than we are. So we get this sense of we know more than we actually do. And one of the things that the book pointed out is that really what we need is confident humility as we learn new concepts. And in fact, we should always maintain that confident humility because it means we're willing to perceive that perhaps what we know is not everything about a topic. We actually do live in such a turbulent world, and one of the things our brain loves to do is save energy. So what it tends to do is it listens to views that make us feel good rather than looking at ideas that actually stretch us and grow what we need to know. So one of the things is just to be aware of, am I listening to this because, oh yeah, it actually confirms what I already know? Or am I listening to this because actually I want it to stretch and perhaps prove to me that maybe I don't know what I think I know? So one of the things as we move into this 21st century and we need to develop our skills is to remember that rethinking actually is both a mindset approach, but it's also a skill set that will set us up well for the future. Another thing about just our own personal rethinking is to use the scientific thinking approach, which is everything we do is an experiment and it might prove that we actually don't know what it is we think we know. So just being open to the fact that maybe this won't work and that's okay. The second part that it looks at is interpersonal thinking or rethinking. And this is where we help open other people's minds to other possibilities. And a great way to do this, and we use this a lot at Magical Learning, is to ask great questions for others to ponder. So it actually opens up their thinking. There's a fabulous story in there about a gentleman called Daryl who was a black musician who was able to open up the thinking of members of the Ku Klux Klan and actually convert them from their viewpoints to actually supporting and shutting down some of the chapters in the Ku Klux Klan because they became aware that their viewpoints weren't necessarily correct. The third one is about collective rethinking, and I think this is really important and certainly something we like to play a part in. And that is creating communities of lifelong learners. So our world is really complex and what our brain loves to do is really look at one or two viewpoints. So it tends to become very black and white in its thinking. And one of the things we can do is look for more perspectives. And when we do that, it actually opens up our perspectives and others. So it helps all of us to continue to grow as lifelong learners. I love this quote too of Deepak Chopra's. Every time you are tempted to react in the same old way, ask if you want to be a prisoner of your past or a pioneer of the future. And it really is, every time we just go back to our old thinking, we're not expanding who we are. Now, one more quote that I'd love to read for you, and this really is on the theme of this book, is "What I believe is a process rather than a finality." And that's by Emma Goldman. So I hope you've enjoyed this book review. Absolutely would recommend Adam Grant's Think Again. It is a cracker of a read and really it's a skill set we all need and a mindset we need in these turbulent times. Until next time, take care.